Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thank you for tuning in and checking out my latest video. Now, this video is going to be talking briefly about Saturday's fights over in the UK. And I really wanted to do this video because I'm a big Anthony Joshua fan, so I definitely wanted to speak about him. Now, if you're not familiar with Anthony Joshua, this is a guy who won an Olympic gold medal. He's 6-0 as a professional with 6 wins via stoppage. When I look at his skills, he possesses a nice jab, very stiff. He's got power along with a 6'6" frame. So he's been blessed with some physical gifts, and he's very calm and composed in the ring. Now, it's too early to say that Anthony Joshua is the next great heavyweight. He's the phenom right now in the heavyweight division because we have to have some questions answered before we say that. What's he going to be like when he gets hit with a big shot? When somebody pushes him to the limit, when he has an off night in the ring, how he responds to adversity. These are all things later on in his career we will find out. But nonetheless, this is a guy with a ton of skills, and with the right coaching, mentoring, etc., he can definitely be a very successful heavyweight fighter and possibly the next big thing. But like I said, we got to wait and see. But nonetheless, I've been very impressed with what I've seen of Anthony Joshua so far early on in his pro career. Now, the guy he's fighting is Matt Skelton. Matt Skelton is 47 years old, a former K1 kickboxer. When I look at his style, he's a straightforward, kind of aggressive fighter, and I expect him to do that in this fight. And he's fought some big names that you guys may know: Corbett Polyev, Kevin McBride, Danny Williams, and more recently, David Price. So he does hold the experience advantage in this fight. That's really the only advantage he has, in my opinion, in this matchup. And I look for him to be aggressive early on in this fight and try to catch Anthony Joshua, get him off his game, because he knows he can't outbox Anthony Joshua. But I think Anthony Joshua will end up stopping him in the second or third round of this fight. And I can't wait to watch what's next in the career of Anthony Joshua. But you never know. Matt Skelton has a puncher's chance, 47 years old, but it's boxing. Crazier things have happened. So, the next fight is Tony Bellew versus Julio Cesar dos Santos. Now, this is a guy, and Tony Bellew, who's making his second fight at cruiserweight. His last fight at cruiserweight, he looked pretty good. He dropped his opponent in that fight. He ended up stopping him in the 12th round, had some nice check hooks throughout the fight, and maybe this is a better weight for him. I definitely thought he looked better than he did in the Adonis Stevenson fight, but then again, Adonis Stevenson is a world-class fighter. But I ultimately think he'll win a fight against Dos Santos. I'm not familiar at all about Dos Santos, to be honest. The only thing I know about him, he has 28 fights. He's 26-2 with 23 KOs. But I looked at his resume, and it seems to be a padded record because I did not know any of those names that he had fought. All I also know about him is from Brazil. So I wish I could tell you guys more. I couldn't find any footage on him. So I'm going to have to go with Bellew. He's been in there cleverly. He's been in there with Adonis Stevenson. So he's been in there with some better fighters. And he probably possesses more skills. But it's hard to say because I've never seen this other guy. I do know he's up there in age. I believe he's 36 years old, Dos Santos is. So I'm not expecting too much from him. I think Bellew will win a decision comfortably. Also, Nathan Cleverly is on this card. And I'm actually going to put an article below in the comment section from Top Class Boxing that my friend Paul did, talking about that fight. He did an excellent job, so I'm not going to get too much into that. I'm going to drop that article below if you want to read about Nathan Cleverly's fight. He is fighting on this card as well. And later on, in the coming year, we're going to hopefully see a matchup between Bellew and Cleverly at some point. If everything goes as planned, those two guys don't like each other, so that'll probably be a big fight over in the UK. I mean, every fight, their fans are great over there, really, so I'm sure it will sell out and they'll get a lot of media attention, etc. And before I leave you guys, I want to say enjoy the fights. You have Canelo and Lara, and also you have the British boxing as well, like I'm talking about in this video. So good night of fights overall. And before I leave you guys, I want to talk about my friend Charles. Charles was an excellent boxing writer. He did some outstanding interviews. He really brought a lot of amateur stars to my attention, or just up-and-coming prospects. Some guys were Mike Rue, who was out of the Mayweather gym at one time. Lydell Rhodes, Manny Pacquiao's chief sparring partner against Timothy Bradley in the rematch. Badou Jack, a TMT fighter. There's Mike Cook. There's Bobby Gunn Jr. Charles really had a knack for finding these amateur guys. And I really loved his interviews because he gave these guys exposure. And he really brought the character out of these guys outside of the ring. And you get to kind of know the fighters. And I really loved his work. Outstanding. He also did some interviews with stars such as Keith Thurman and Sean Porter. And he is going to be extremely missed by the boxing community. The outpouring of support and the passing of Charles was outstanding, and he truly deserved it. This is a guy who would travel all over to go and watch fighters fight. He's a guy who would buy their t-shirts, really supported all the fighters. And his brother owns Future Legend. He would always, of course, support those guys and wish them well in their fights. Just a very positive individual and a really genuine guy who's going to be truly missed. I'm going to miss our daily chats about life, boxing, etc. And I'm very glad to have known him. And I made a truly excellent friend. And I want to send my condolences out to his family. He's leaving behind a young son. And yeah, I just want to send out my condolences to them. And this was a truly outstanding man. It goes to show you how much talent he had. Glenn Johnson actually asked him, former champion Glenn Johnson asked him to write a book on his career. So that goes to show you how much talent Charles had. Outstanding individual, first-class person, and he'll never be forgotten, that's for sure. And really my goal in life is to be half the man that Charles was. What a great person. I can't say enough good things. And all the best to his family in this rough time. And thank you very much, Charles, for everything. You supported the videos. You supported everything I did in life in general. And I truly appreciate it, my friend. Thank you very much, guys.